Starting with number 1, the Havilland Comet, United Kingdom, 1952. The world's first jet airliner promised a revolution in speed and luxury, yet the Comet harbored a fatal flaw invisible to engineers. At high altitude, pressurization cycles created metal fatigue in the fuselage, with square window designs concentrating stress at dangerous points. 2 catastrophic mid-air breakups over Italy killed everyone aboard. Wreckage recovered from the seabed revealed cracks at rivet holes. The aircraft had shattered after just 3,000 pressurization cycles. Number 2. Lockheed F-104 Starfighter, United States, 1958. Marketed as a missile with a man in it, the F-104 earned the grim nickname Widowmaker across every air force that flew it. West Germany acquired 916 starfighters and lost 292 to accidents, killing 116 pilots. The aircraft's thin, swept wings, razor-sharp leading edges, and demanding handling characteristics made it unforgiving. A single-engine flameout could be fatal. Even legendary ace Erich Hartmann declared it unsafe for operational use before it ever entered service. Number 3. Messerschmitt Me-163 Comet, Nazi Germany, 1944. This tiny rocket-powered interceptor was designed to defend Germany against Allied bombers, but its hypergolic fuel, a mixture of T-Stoff and C-Stoff, was so corrosive and volatile that it could dissolve human flesh in seconds. One pilot, Oberleutnant Josef Poss, was literally dissolved alive when a fuel line ruptured on takeoff. At least 9 pilots were killed by accidents and fuel explosions before combat losses. The aircraft killed more of its own pilots than the enemy ever did. Number 4. North American F-100 Super Sabre, United States, 1954. America's first supersonic fighter suffered an appalling accident rate that threatened cancellation. The swept wings caused a phenomenon called the saber dance, sudden, uncontrollable pitch-ups at transonic speeds that broke the aircraft apart. The airframe experienced inertial coupling, where yaw motion triggered uncontrollable barrel rolls and flat spins. Within 6 weeks of entering service, 6 major accidents had occurred. Test pilot George Welch, a Pearl Harbor hero, died when his F-100 disintegrated from inertial coupling. Number 5. Tupolev Tu-144, Soviet Union, 1968. The Soviet Concorde competitor was rushed into development under political pressure to beat the West. Structural weaknesses plagued the design from conception. In 1973, during an airshow demonstration at Le Bourget, the Tu-144 broke apart during a maneuver at low altitude. Aerodynamic forces exceeded design limits by a single G-force, snapping the left wing outboard of the engines. The aircraft exploded over the town of Goussainville, killing all 6 crew and 8 people below. Number 6. Martin B-26 Marauder, United States, 1941. The B-26 was built for speed with undersized wings and a landing speed of 150 miles per hour, terrifying for 1942 pilots trained on slower aircraft. Inexperienced crews at MacDill Field crashed so regularly that locals coined the phrase, "one a day in Tampa Bay." The aircraft stalled viciously if speed dropped below critical thresholds. 13 Marauders ditched in Tampa Bay alone. Yet, through ruthless pilot retraining, the B-26 paradoxically became the safest bomber in combat, achieving the lowest loss rate of any Allied bomber in Europe. Number 7. Mikoyan-Gurevich MiG-21, Soviet Union, 1958. Produced in greater numbers than any other supersonic fighter, the MiG-21 earned the title Flying Coffin in Indian service. Over 400 MiG-21s crashed, killing more than 200 pilots in peacetime, far exceeding combat losses. The aircraft had a cramped cockpit, high landing speed, primitive radar, and handling characteristics that demanded constant attention. Engine surges, compressor stalls, and poor single-engine control margins meant a single mistake was often fatal. The Indian Air Force retired its last MiG-21 in 2025 after more than 6 decades of tragic accidents. Number 8. Bell X-2 Starbuster, United States, 1954. Designed to explore supersonic flight beyond Mach 2, the Bell X-2 was one of the most dangerous research aircraft ever built. During its brief program, 3 pilots were killed. One prototype exploded on captive flight, killing 2 crew. Test pilot Ivan Kinchelow reached 126,200 feet, then became the first pilot to suffer inertial coupling, uncontrollable tumbling that could not be recovered. Captain Mel Apt achieved Mach 3.2 on September 27, 1956, but seconds later, inertial coupling spun the X-2 uncontrollably toward Earth. Number 9. Heinkel He 280, Nazi Germany, 1940. Germany's first jet fighter suffered relentless engine troubles that persisted throughout its development. The HE-S8A engines were prone to flaming out, and the fuselage icing system was inadequate for high-altitude operations. On one test flight, ice buildup made controls inoperable. The pilot, Helmut Schenk, became the first person to successfully eject, but the prototype was lost. Engine unreliability, cooling problems, and structural issues with early jet design made the HE-280 a hazardous machine to operate during the experimental jet era. Number 11. Tupolev Tu-144 test aircraft, 1978. A second catastrophic failure claimed the Tupolev Tu-144 in 1978. During a test flight near Moscow, experimental fuel pipes failed from fatigue caused by unexpected vibrations up to 1,500 Hz. 8,000 kilograms of fuel leaked into the right wing, igniting when the auxiliary power unit activated. 2 flight engineers died in the subsequent crash near Yegorsk. The combination of fuel system design flaws and fatigue damage in inadequately tested pipelines ended passenger operations permanently. No more Tupolev Tu-144s carried civilians. Number 12. Republic F-84F Thunderstreak, United States, 1950. The Thunderstreak experienced chronic engine problems, particularly compressor stalls in the Allison J-35 engine. Pilots reported sudden flaming out and loss of thrust at altitude with insufficient time to recover. The swept-wing design struggled with transonic instability. Accidents claimed numerous aircraft during deployment to Korea and throughout Cold War service. Structural failures and engine fires plagued the fleet. While not as notorious as other Century Series fighters, the F-84F accumulated a grim loss record among USAF and Allied pilots. Number 13. Yakovlev Yak-38, Soviet Union, 1971. The Soviets' first VTOL fighter was plagued from inception. Hovering required immense engine power, leaving minimal fuel for actual missions or safety margins. Hover instability was endemic to the design. Pilots reported constant difficulty maintaining stable flight near the ground, with many aircraft lost to uncontrollable pitch and roll oscillations. Engine overheating and compressor failures were chronic. The Yak-38 achieved limited operational capability, with losses exceeding what any operational advantage could justify. Soviet pilots dreaded assignments to the type. Number 14. Convair XF2Y1 Sea Dart, United States, 1953. This experimental jet-powered seaplane sat on a water-ski's hull designed for high-speed taxi and takeoff. But the concept was fundamentally unstable at speed. Water spray damaged engines. Hydrodynamic forces made directional control unpredictable. Test pilot Charles Richburg was killed on October 4, 1954, when the Sea Dart became uncontrollable during a transonic run. The unique seaplane concept proved impractical, dangerous, and ultimately unworkable. The program was terminated, but not before exposing fundamental design flaws in its brief, tragic flight history. Number 16. Vought F7U Cutlass, United States, 1948. The F7U-3 Cutlass was a revolutionary tailless swept-wing carrier fighter that pilots called the Ensign Eliminator and Gutless Cutlass. Underpowered Westinghouse engines could barely push the 33,900-pound airframe. The unreliable hydraulic flight control system caused frequent failures. All three prototypes crashed during development. Over 25% of the 320 production aircraft, approximately 80 Cutlasses, were destroyed in accidents, killing 25 pilots. The weak landing gear collapsed under carrier landings. After only 8 years of service, the Navy withdrew the Cutlass, with few regrets. Number 17. Lockheed P-80 Shooting Star, United States, 1943. America's first operational jet fighter was plagued by a dangerous accident record before it ever saw combat. By August 1945, only 8 months into testing, 8 aircraft had been destroyed and 6 pilots killed, including Chief Test Pilot Milo Burcham. Major Richard Bong, America's highest-scoring World War II ace, died when the fuel pump failed. Engine failures, structural damage, and poor stall characteristics made the P-80 deadly during development. By the time the aircraft was only 2.5 years old, 61 accidents had occurred. Test pilot Tony LeVere ejected with a broken back. Number 18. McDonnell F3H Demon, United States, 1951. The Navy's first swept-wing carrier fighter was crippled by a catastrophic engine failure. The ambitious Westinghouse J-40 proved unreliable and underpowered, causing 6 aircraft losses and 4 pilot deaths during initial operational trials. Time magazine called the Navy's grounding of all J-40-powered F3H-1 Demons a fiasco, with 21 unflyable aircraft becoming total losses worth $200 million. Even after redesign with the Allison J-71, engine blameouts remained endemic. Approximately 81 Demons were lost in accident, resulting in 45 fatalities. The aircraft's lead sled nickname reflected its poor power-to-weight ratio and unforgiving carrier operations.